Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio, and yeah, fine, Surging Sparks might be about a month away at this stage. And actually, even Super Electric Breaker, the new Japanese set, isn't out until next weekend. And we don't get the full set reveal until the end of this week. But the good news is, we've seen enough. We now know all 8 Ace Specs which are going to be in Surging Sparks, and for the record, we were told explicitly in the press release that there will be 8 Ace Specs in Surging Sparks, so that means we can have a little bit of a look at the 8 Ace Specs in Surging Sparks, and have a look at which ones we should be getting a bit excited about. Sounds like a plan? Excellent. Now, there's 3 categories of these. There are the 3 that were in Paradise Dragona, exactly 3, and actually some of these are pretty exciting. There's some good Ace Specs coming in this set. So there's a 3 from Paradise Dragona. Oh, also, just to be clear, some of them suck. We've got the 3 that came around in Super Electric Breaker, and we've got the 2, one that came around in the Sylveon EX deck, and one that came around in the Ceruledge EX deck. So let's start off with Paradise Dragona and Energy Search Pro, which will forever be the Ace Spec that was revealed while I was at a Pokemon PR event, Stellar Crown pre-release if anyone's interested, and stressed me out because I couldn't make a video until I got home later that day. I wasn't impressed. Boo, etc. But before we get into it, I do need to tell you guys I am doing a Pokemon single stream on Whatnot on Wednesday, 7:30pm UK time, whatnot.com/invite/thewazzy. Join with that code, you get £10 free credit, so you can get some free singles, which seems like a pretty good deal to me. We're going to be doing a bunch of fun promos and all sorts of stuff. It's going to be awesome. And if you don't want to buy any cards, just come along and hang and we'll chat some Pokemon. It'll be fun. 7:30pm UK time, Wednesday. Let's do this. Energy Search Pro, is it any good? I mean, look, it lets you search your deck for any number of basic energy of different types, reveal them, and put them into your hand. It could potentially get you like 8 energy cards from your deck. There's a huge amount of potential here, but there's also a gigantic downside. And the gigantic downside is we just don't have a deck that wants this right now. In order for this to be good, we need to have a deck that wants to use all the different kinds of energy. And remember, I've done full videos on all of these, so do go check them out. Go and search on the channel, you'll find them easy enough. But just for the time being, you need to know that this one, it's not going to be one of the big ones from the set. It's not making me terribly happy. Speaking of ones that look cool but probably won't end up being that amazing, Megaton Blower. This is a great one-shot card which could absolutely win you the game, but is very situational. Discard all Pokemon Tool cards attached to all of your opponent's Pokemon, all special energy attached to all of your opponent's Pokemon, and any stadium in play. And here it's really simple. If you find yourself playing against a deck that is really reliant on having a lot of tools in play, this is brilliant. If you find yourself playing against a deck which is really reliant on having a lot of special energy in play, this is brilliant. Otherwise, it's a card which in a lot of matchups is going to end up being pointless. So this is very much if you are having trouble, or if your deck has trouble, with decks that are specifically heavy on either special energy or tools, great. Otherwise, leave it. But I think for me, the most fun one that came out of Paradise Dragona was in fact Rich Energy. It's a special energy when you attach this card from your hand to one of your Pokemon, draw 4 cards. I love this. I love this as a bit of a draw engine. Now, obviously, you need to be a bit careful here, because if you are using this as a bit of a draw engine, then you need to be attaching your energy somewhere else. I don't know, maybe using Professor Sada's Vitality in an Ancient deck, maybe you are using Archeops in a Lugia deck or something along those lines, but I'm just saying, like, if you're using this as your attachment for the turn, either this has to pay for the attack, or you need to find another way to attach some energy. And to be clear, this is just a single colorless energy, so yeah, you do need to watch that a little bit. but I adore this. And there's so many just fun little combos you can do here. For instance, Pidgeot V. Pidgeot V has got a really nice ability that lets you shuffle it back into your deck. It's often played to stop players decking out. So just put this on a Pidgeot V, draw 4 cards, whack Pidgeot V back into your deck, and then next turn you can play it down again to draw 4 more cards. Or there's a great combo to be made here with the Dunsparce. Because the Dunsparce, you're already drawing 3 cards and shuffling this Pokemon and all cards attached to it into your deck. So attach this, draw 4 cards, whack the Dunsparce back into your deck, and draw another 7 in total. Like I say, you will need to make sure you've got another way to attach energy to actually pay for your attacks, but I'm just telling you, somebody is going to make a deck where this card is phenomenal, and the whole point of this is your opponent's not going to be able to remove it or knock out the Pokemon that's got it attached or whatever, because it's just not going to stay in play long enough. This is the one that really piques my interest from Paradise Dragona. But then we've got the 2 from the EX Starter decks, and I'm telling you right now, ladies and gentlemen, I think both of these are awesome. I think there is huge potential here, like for instance with Cherish Carrier. Cherish Carrier is nuts. Search your deck for any number of basic Pokemon, put them onto your bench, shuffle your deck. It's phenomenal. It's brilliant. You know, grab it turn 1 with an Arven, for instance, which a lot of people are playing right now, and then you just guarantee that you've got all the basics you need on your first turn of the game. Like, you need to make sure you're playing something like Arven to go and grab it out, obviously. But here, nice and simply, you just guarantee you've got all the basics you need turn 1. And bearing in mind with Area Zero Underdepths around nowadays, you know, as long as you've got a Terra Pokemon down to activate it before you play this card, you can go and have a full bench of 8 Pokemon and then start rolling with that. This is a great card. But not to be outdone, that was from the Sylveon deck if anyone's interested as to which card came in which deck, but not to be outdone, we've also got ourselves Perfect Mixer. And what Perfect Mixer does is it searches your deck for any 5 cards and discards them. It's brilliant. Any deck that wants to play from the discard is going to absolutely love this. I mean, look, we had Battle Compressor a little while ago, and that card was ridiculous, and that only discarded 3. Now, you could also play 4 of them in your deck, so let's, be a bit clear about that. But still, this is a card that some decks are going to absolutely adore. It's a really fun card. And then we flick forward to the other set. We go and have a little bit of a look at Super Electric Breaker. And like I say, we now do have all 3 of the Ace Specs from that set. One of which is actually a reprint. It's Scramble Switch. And here's the thing. I know that a lot of people are looking at Scramble Switch and going, well, hang on a second. Like, it's a reprint of the old Scramble Switch. An old Scramble Switch saw a bunch of play, so surely this will as well. And my theory about this is, I don't know how many of you were playing back in Gen 5 when we had the old Ace Specs. I was. Our selection of Ace Specs back then was not as good as it is now. Our Ace Spec selection is way better now than it was back in Gen 5. And that, I think, explains a little bit of Scramble Switch. It lets you switch your active Pokemon and then attach as much energy as you like to your new active Pokemon from your old active Pokemon. And look, if you've got high energy Pokemon that you want to be switching between, this is actually brilliant and will work, and I love it. But that's it. It's a very niche use. And I said this in the video the other day, but I do feel like it needs repeating. There will be times where you test this and it goes brilliantly 2 or 3 games, and you think you've discovered the best Ace Spec in the world. You'll then take it to a tournament and find it does nothing for 8 rounds. You have been warned. Also coming along from Super Electric Breaker, we've got ourselves Miracle Intercom. Choose 2 supporters from your discard pile, reveal them, put them back into your hand. It's great. It's Versus Seeker, except it's also Versus Seeker, by which I mean it's double Versus Seeker. Play 1 card, get 2 supporter cards back from your discard pile. Again, a better version of an old item card, but is unfortunately limited to 1 copy, whereas the old one wasn't. But really what we've got going on here is just a great way to guarantee that you've got things like, Boss's Orders is a classic here, where you can either grab 2 for consecutive turns or grab 1 plus another supporter card. And look, even if your opponent shuffles your hand into your deck, you use 1 and the other one goes back into your deck so it's there and available to use again in the future. But we all know how important the right supporter card can be at the right time. Like, in a world where a lot of decks are willing to play Luminion, a 2-prize liability that sits on their bench doing nothing for the rest of the game, just to get the right supporter at the right time, feels like some decks are absolutely going to be willing to play this. Although, as always, there's a lot of good Ace Specs around right now, but does feel like this is going to see play just for, the right card at the right time. If all you're looking for is gusting, Prime Catcher is gusting. But this isn't that. This is Prime Catcher, but if you need it a draw supporter, but if you need it some other kind of utility supporter, etc, etc. Or a Prime Catcher-ish because you're getting a gusting supporter back, but then also getting another one for the following turn so you can do it 2 turns in a row. Things like that. That is what makes this card so gosh darn good. And that means that there is only one left, which might end up being a little bit of a trap and might not be as good as we're all imagining, but I want to have faith. I want to have hope, because it is, of course, Amulet of Hope. This is a new item card where, no, it's not, it's a tool card, and tools aren't items anymore. And you attach it to a Pokemon, and if that Pokemon is knocked out by damage from an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, you search your deck for free cards, any free cards, put them in your hand, shuffle your deck. And remember, this is coming when your opponent takes a KO. So they take a KO and it goes to your turn, but hang on a second, you get to make sure you have the 3 perfect cards in your hand right now. Yeah, that's genuinely brilliant. Get the right cards at the right time in your hand, coming back into your turn, and go nuts. And what I love about all of these and the ones we've got so far is the amount of options you've got. We've got a new card that can make sure you've got all the basics you need turn 1 to get that fast start. We've got one that can get 2 supporter cards back so you can have that mid to late game that you really need. Or a card that allows a big comeback by letting you search for any free cards that you like. Or a card that can discard a bunch of cards from your deck if you play from the discard pile. Or a hard counter to decks that play a lot of special energy, and so on and so forth. And I adore this. I think it's brilliant, because what we've got here is just a lot of options for a lot of different decks. So there we go. That's what you need to know. That's all of the Ace Specs that are coming around in Surging Sparks. I should mention, technically, this is not an official list, but there are 8 Ace Specs that have been released in Japan, and there aren't any others. And we know we're getting 8 Ace Specs in our set, and we know we're getting cards from the Ceruledge and Sylveon decks. So, you put it all together, these are going to be the 8. I feel very confident. But I've told you all that now, so now it's over to you guys. Tell me which of these cards you really like. Tell me which ones you're going to be popping into decks. Tell me anything you want to tell me in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWarScene. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.